With that, I yield to the ranking member, Mr. Meeks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And
Recognize, sorry.
let me just start off by saying that the chairman is correct that I did request on August 21st a copy of any and all dissent cables on Afghanistan dating back to 2017 and pledged to work with the department on timing and appropriate handling of the requested material. However, I hope that the chairman also agrees that we should take care to avoid a chilling effect on employees, as you stated. Safe space for dissent is important, ongoing, even as I hope the department works to accommodate this congressional request, because I think the substance that is in the cable is tremendously important for members of this committee to know. And if we do it in a classified session, but I understand the protection of what you talk about as far as the members of the State Department, so they have their discretion. But let me go now also to say thank you, Mr. Secretary, because we did have hearings on Afghanistan in the 117th Congress. And the fact of the matter is, you were the first to testify before this committee, right after the pullout. You were the very first cabinet official to do so right before this committee, and we had several other hearings in regards to Afghanistan in the 117th Congress. But let me get to what we're here for today. The President's budget proposal lays out a strategic vision for the U.S. global engagement that would allow the United States to deepen our alliances, to tackle the most pressing global challenges, and effectively compete with our adversaries. Speaker McCarthy and the House Republican majority have put forward a different vision, one that would cede American leadership on the world stage and threaten U.S. national security by arbitrarily slashing the international affairs budget by up to 22%. Now, my colleague Rosa DeLauro had sent a letter to the agency requesting details on the projected impact of these cuts that the Republicans are proposing. Let me ask a few questions on that, because the department is saying that making cuts as deep as 22% on the international affairs budget would, among other things, and I quote, will it significantly scale back our efforts to counter aggressive and coercive tactics of the PRC and to implement the Indo-Pacific strategy? Is that correct? Yes or no, sir?
That is correct.
Would it reduce efforts to deter the PRC's aggression and coercion, including through the Countering PRC Influence Fund, and slow our ability to open new posts in the Pacific Islands?
Yes, it would.
Would it reduce assistance that is critical to enhancing military-to-military interoperability, training, cooperation, as well as fighting corruption and money laundering?
Yes.
Would the treaty-based commitments, such as payment of U.S. assessments to international organizations, would also be jeopardized?
They would be.
You'd be required to impose a broad hiring freeze and potentially reductions in force, while also rolling back training and professional development programs recently authorized in the state authorization bill on a bipartisan basis. Would that not be true?
That is correct.
And to halt investments in security upgrades at our most vulnerable posts, increasing the physical risk to the United States government personnel overseas?
That is correct.
And to reduce support for ongoing programs that support an independent, democratic, politically stable, and economically viable Ukraine that can defend itself against external aggression? Would it not also do that, sir?
That is correct.
And to reverse gains made to combat infectious diseases, including through the President's emergency plan for AIDS relief, programs to prevent material and childhood deaths, and funds to support health workers and global health security? Is that not also true, sir?
That is also true.
And the list goes on and on, doesn't it? So I see I only have, in my limited time remaining, have I missed anything else? Mr. Secretary, what are your greatest concerns if these draconian cuts were imposed on the State Department?
I think across the board, when it comes to all of the priorities that I laid out in my opening statement, to try to advance the security of the United States and American citizens around the world, to strengthen even further our alliances and partnerships to deal with challenges coming from Russia and China, to deal effectively with the many transnational threats that are having a direct impact on the lives and livelihoods of Americans, to make sure that our own institution is as strong as it can be, including from cyber threats, that our personnel are secure and safe, even as we work to expand our footprint abroad. Across the board, these cuts would have, in my judgment, devastating consequences. And I am happy as well to lay out in detail for members of this committee, if it's helpful, what we see those consequences as being.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Yield back.